Hello and welcome to EHE Behind the Scenes, hosted by me, Myth. Alongside me, I have producers, observers, and all-around top-tier people. Welcome, Cynthia, Grissom. How are you doing today?
Hello, thanks. Thanks for having us. Really good.
Good. How are you, Grissom?
Hello. Hello.
So you can all see we've got our not got our webcams on today. We're a producer channel today. Producer time. None of us like being on camera. No one. Yeah, exactly. Why else would we not be casters, right, guys?
Exactly.
All right, guys. I'm gonna jump into the questions so you can get this show on the road. My first question to you guys, if I can get them up. NA prod right here. Here we go. So I want to talk a bit about your online names. So Cynthia, Grissom. Let's start with you, Cynthia. Like, where did Cynthia come from? Is that just your name?
So I think that goes for the most of us. So when I started playing video games initially, I was very bad at coming up with usernames and nicknames. Like my very first nickname, like my dad gave it to me, which was like the initials of my name, and people thought like I was a guy because of it. So I hated it. So I tried to come up with different usernames, which was basically just variations of my IRL name because I like my name. So which is just Cynthia, which is also very uncommon here in Germany, where I come from. So I think I just tried fiddling around with different variations of my name, and I just kind of stuck with that one.
Great. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. How about you, Grissom?
Well, I used to play a lot of 5M to the point where I'd spend 12 hours a day on that game.
Oh wow.
Which is basically like GTA roleplay. And I used to be like in a police department, and the name would be Grissom. Like that was my officer name. It was L. Grissom.
Officer Grissom. I love
it. Was, yeah. Well, I'll have you know it was Staff Sergeant Grissom. But,
oh,
you know, that works. But yeah, I like the name, and then thought, yeah, let's turn it into my branding, and just made my name Grissom.
Nice. Were you a good cop or a bad cop? Playing in 5M, surely a bad cop.
Oh, I was a good cop. No, I done trainings and everything. I made lieutenant. I was Lieutenant Grissom before I stopped playing.
Oh wow, nice. I don't know how high up that is, but it sounds pretty high up.
Oh, that's like lowest command. Above me
Nice.
there was captain, and then the people who ran the department.
Like commissioners.
Yes, exactly.
Nice. All right, cool. That's cool. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How did you get your first gig in producing or observing in esports? Where did you go?
I can just go in first, I guess.
Yeah,
so before I got into production in general, I just I started playing Overwatch in when was it? I think in 2017. And I was super bad, so I started in bronze. No, I think I placed either in silver or bronze and dropped to bronze. I was in bronze and was like, this game is so much fun, but I'm so bad at it. I've made some friends along during that time, and one of them was GM, I think. And at some point he told me, so I have this team that I play with, and we have these like scrims, these practice sessions, and I got intrigued, and I asked him, hey, so can I watch? Because I thought if I watched them, I could maybe learn from them. So that's how I got into esports in general. So I became a VOD recorder for a bunch of teams. Eventually, also managed some teams later on as well, until this point where one of my team captains approached me and said, so I have this friend and he's desperately looking for a producer, so I recommended him to you because you are a good VOD recorder. So I thought, oh yes, that's streaming. producing a tournament, it doesn't sound like too difficult in the end. I even so I did some tests to check. I don't even know if my PC would be like good enough for streaming, and noticed quickly, oh, I need a better graphics card. So the day before the tournament, I even like brought my new graphics card, which I still use to this day. But even if it was so scuffed, I didn't even understand what these scoreboards that resembled, like in Overwatch, the which are put on by production. I thought it just resembles the current map score again, and people flamed me in chat for it. Where I learned, oh, this is not it. So I guess that's the match score. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. The quality was even super bad. I think I made the mistake like everyone else. I streamed in 720p, 30 FPS, but somehow, even though it was a horrible production, people kept booking me after this point, and I thought, oh yeah, this is fun. I will just keep doing it.
Nice. How about you, Grissom? Something similar?
No. I used to like do some like casting just for fun. Like I was horrific at it. Like I feel bad for anyone that I casted with, but yeah, it was fun. But I remember there was a few shows going on which got cancelled because the producer was unavailable. So I went ahead and like downloaded vMix and was like, oh, I can do it. So like I figured, you know, most people start with like an OBS show and it's like really simple, but I went straight in the deep end and done it with a vMix. And the show went absolutely horrific. I had about 8 different tech issues, but I learned. And then like it was pain. But you know, I'd done about over 100 hours for that league, just straight producing and stuff,
Nice.
and it was fun.
What league was it? You give me a shout out.
ECS, a Rainbow
ECS.
Six League. Yes.
That's cool. So, have you done any other like other games? Is it like, I know you both do Overwatch mainly, Valorant, and then I guess I know you do R6. Like when starting a new game, does that feel like having your first gig again? Or is it like, no, I know what I'm doing and it doesn't take as much like getting used to? So say if you start doing a split game
Oh, is that one
production-
for me? Or
It's for both
Cynthia?
of you, yeah.
Okay, I can go first. I mean, I wouldn't say yes to doing a game unless I have at least a basic knowledge of it. And if I wanted to try something new, like I'd go away and learn it, and then do a production on it. I wouldn't just show up and be like, oh, how does this work? But I wouldn't really say it's like doing my first show all over again. I'd say it's something new and something interesting, but it's far from, you know, it's far from a challenging thing. It's just something new and something interesting.
Nice. How about you, Cynthia? Similar?
When you mean getting into new games?
Yeah, like when starting a new game, is it like having your first gig again, or is it like kind of just adapting with new game knowledge?
No, actually, a lot of skills that you learn in when in terms of observing, there are some certain rules that kind of imply you can like put on every game. For instance, they're just like basic videography good to knows that you can that you can like use for every game. So I have a quite of knowledge of like what to look for or how the end result should look like. It's more of a challenge of, okay, so how does this game actually work? How do these players operate? What are these strategies of these players? So will they go do they normally walk in a group or do they normally split? And then I want to know who's actually the engager, who takes up most of the kills and so on. So it comes more of a different perspective what I'm looking at when I get into a new game. I mean, of course, when I get into a new game, since I know I still need to learn, I'm always looking to broaden my horizon. So whenever I see smaller organizations like looking for some producers and they don't have the budget like to pay them, I'm like always like open to help out because I use like these opportunities like to learn more about these games or learn more about these games from a production perspective.
Yeah, for sure. So it's all about having that like game knowledge and working on game knowledge to work up to a point where you can sort of like start hitting the levels you would for the games you already work on.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice, nice. All right, cool. I got the next question. So, do you currently work on esports broadcast as your full-time job, or do you do other things on the side, or is this your side thing, or um, like school? What else do you guys do?
So I study multimedia and communication, which is kind of interesting because a lot of what I learn in university overlaps with what I do in esports. So I had a few classes where I was actually working in a TV studio and where I learned how to communicate with my camera operators and with my audio operator. I was actually the audio operator. It was super fun. So a lot of it. It is similar from what I do now in esports, even though I have a different major now. So yeah, I do that right now. I'm in my last year as well, so it's why I'm in a weird state at the moment as well because I'm about to write my bachelor thesis, but I haven't actually started. So I have been these past few months. I just fully on did only esports work. So yeah, kind of. I do study. I am at university right now, but for the last few months, I kind of did esports like full time, you could say.
Nice, that's cool. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are at that point where they're working towards, um, I guess being professional, but have a lot of time on the side to like trying to get gigs or trying to like being interested in other things. But I think it's supposed to as a production no as a whole having like broadcasts is something very good to work on the side, especially when you're learning. How about you, Grissom? What are you up to at the minute?
I do college, and then just when I'm not at college, just work for broadcasting stuff. I don't have a real job. I just do freelance full time currently.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's really good. I know I had a lot of free time at college because I did no work.
Yep.
All right. So do you guys have any inspirations in broadcast? So are there any people you really look up to and kind of want to follow in the footsteps of? Um, Either in particular games or just in general. If you want to like shout out at anyone.
When I started out, mostly they have been or they're still a big name in especially the Overwatch community. I always looked up to Moirai, or also called like Willow, mostly because I don't know, I just it was so inspiring like to hear their story. They already worked in traditional, I think not TV, but they did this like videography and had this passion of like I want to get into esports. This is like so much fun. I want to learn more into this, and it's always like so inspiring to hear their stories. And I haven't met them before they got into the Overwatch League, but I heard all these stories, and they also like started out in ELO actually, and made their way into the Overwatch League. It's always someone I looked up to be honest. Not sure if they're watching, but yeah.
Me too. That's very similar.
Mm.
How about you, Grissom? Is anyone else you look up to at the minute or when you started out?
When I started out, I liked working with Tricks and stuff because he taught me pretty much everything I know right now. Same for Noah, who they were both at ECS.
Nice.
I'd say I learned at least 80% of my VMix knowledge off both of them combined. And yeah, they were definitely helpful in teaching and stuff. But I've learned a lot of the more advanced stuff off people like Fermi and Devin and stuff like that. Just watching them work. But yeah, I wouldn't say specifically one person I looked up to, but I did take inspiration from a lot of people who currently work in broadcast media.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I think it's good to have a lot of people or taking inspiration or taking ideas from a lot of people, and whatever knowledge people can give you or have the time to give you, it is such a good way to like pick things up. So I know like working with Cynthia has helped me a lot in lots of like aspects of any production observation work I've done. But yeah, I think being able to take that work from as many people as you can is really, really important in growing. Alright, so this is more of a question focused to Cynthia, I think, but not really. Grissom, I definitely want you to just chime in and like have an answer ready. But why do you think it's important to develop a grassroots community, like in the broadcast community? So why is it important to like help bring new people up into the scene?
This is actually a very good question. So this discussion has been around for quite a while, and it was actually like very discussed a lot when all these just this what was it called, the esports certificate was a topic. So there is like no way of, or how should I say this, there's like no university where you can study esports. There's like no apprenticeship you can take of like getting into esports. Like most people, they come from different industries. When, for instance, when you wanna work in broadcast, you maybe have worked in traditional television before, or if you have been a team manager, maybe you were a manager at a tech company whatsoever. There's like no way of learning, getting like training in esports. So the way how most people do it, they get their esports experience like in communities like this, like EHE Esports. I mean, there are others as well, like Monkey Bubble Refresh. They get their experience there, and then make their way into the industry. And you can even tell at these bigger companies like Blizzard or Riot, like they are looking for people who have some knowledge or some experience in esports. So this helps like these people a lot at getting this experience, I would say.
Nice.
I don't know what your opinion was on this, Grissom, but I'm trying to come up with some other things because I hear this from a lot of people that they say like a lot of people who work right now in esports, either they don't have the business experience or they're lacking the experience in esports. And so there's just like a good chance for those people to get like some experience working in the esports industry.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to like Siege esports and like community broadcasts, I like seeing them because a lot of people, like, not a lot of people play at a higher level comp. Like, if you play in tier 3, you have the Ubisoft coverage where you will be streamed, like, they are guaranteed. But, like, in tier 4 stuff, community level stuff, like, that's how people really get noticed and stuff and advance onto tier 3. And, you know, like, giving them their, like, community production and stuff and independent production, it helps players succeed and stuff, which is one thing to consider.
That's a really
it's
good
actually
point.
really true. I always thought of this. It actually reminded me of something. So I started as an observer in like tier 4 tournaments, like the EHE Good or the Open Division. And it was like so interesting. It was so heartwarming for me to see as well, because like I followed some of these players who are even now in the Overwatch League. Like when they started in tier 4 or tier 3 tournaments, I was there watching them, and I followed them all the way throughout Open Division to Contenders Trials to Contenders, and then seeing the announcement posts. We now picked up player X for in the Overwatch League. It was like so heartwarming to see, because I'm pretty sure like getting this exposure for the players, and I agree with you that getting this exposure really helped them getting into high tier competitive teams in the first place.
I think that it also really helps smaller teams and organizations to grow as organizations themselves, just not even just the players. So I know there's a lot of smaller organizations who work and have been working towards like getting into trials, into contenders, and one I'm involved with has just got into contenders, and they're looking really, really good, like on the up and up. But they wouldn't have that sort of exposure or backing if they didn't have like community broadcasts and people working with them to get their name out there.
Exactly. I mean, and this goes like the other way around as well, as I mentioned before. I mean, it also like helps for like people like you, me, who have no experience and who never casted before, like getting little bit of this exposure as well, the practice, and then getting discovered by Blizzard or by Riot to eventually cast for Blizzard at some point.
Alright, cool. Yeah, that was a great answer, guys. Thanks. So we're gonna end on a break here, but I'm gonna ask one more question before we go. It might be a big one. So go into as much detail or as little detail as you like. But what makes a good producer or an observer?
You want to start this time?
It's not thinking noise, but yeah, I got it.
What sort of skills do you need, or are there any skills that cross over between being a good producer and observer?
I'd say, I mean, you need to obviously have an extent knowledge of like the software that you're using and have technical knowledge and stuff. So just basics like, you know, the difference between RTMP and SRT, like network usage and stuff like that. You need to have like be computer literate and know exactly what part of your computer is failing if something goes wrong, if that makes sense. But I'd say apart from that, like you'd need to be you'd obviously need to have intelligence. I'd say you need to be like easy to get along with, so that, you know, it's quite easy to make the show run. There won't be any confrontations or stuff. I know it like for me it helps a lot, like getting to know the person beforehand. Like I usually have like 5-minute chats to people who I'm working with in a production room, and just be like, you know, we're working together soon. Does this workflow work with you and stuff like that? And you know, it helps to definitely get to know the people you work with, especially if you have like repetitive gigs. Like I can't even count the amount of times I've been to Cindy like, do you want to come and work this gig with me? Just because I trust that she'd be able to do it well. But for observing wise, I'd say I'm not sure because I'm not an observer, so that's a Cynthia thing.
To add to your points, for a producer, in the end, you can like teach everyone like how to use like OBS or how to use vMix. I mean, some people might find this offending, but in the end, it's just like pressing some buttons, right? What a skill I very highly value I think in every person who's kind of involved in a production is like staying calm even when everything is on fire. You in the end, it is kind of a running joke in broadcast already that like there's no real production without a tech issue. Like there will be, even if it's not the tech, like something like will go wrong. If it might be like it's a minor issue or a bigger issue, like it doesn't matter. in the end, you always will have to deal with these situations, and it's important that you stay focused and calm, and trying to find a solution. It doesn't help anyone involved when you also start to freak out, because this will affect the people around you as well. And I don't know how often I heard it from casters already, that they love working with me because like I stay focused and calm, even though like they can see and hear like everything's actually burning and on fire. I'm just like, just keep going on. I have this under control. Just say this and that. And in the end, like I hear from friends who were watching the stream said, "Oh, it looks so clean," and I told them, "Oh, you don't want to know what actually happened behind the scenes. That was happening this, and that. Oh, I couldn't even tell." Just because we were able like to cover everything up as good as we could.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
And these are also the people who like stay in my mind when they're actually like able to how should I say it? Like work around like these problems and these difficulties. But I mean, yeah, in the end, when we talk about it in general, you kind of also like you need like a passion for tech at some sort of it, even though some people might think it's just like being a YouTuber. You will just like cut some videos together. We'll just like cut some streams. You kind of need a technical knowledge of how to how should I say it, of how to create certain video effects, video animations. If a client requires for it, you need to like at least to be aware of how strong your PC needs to be to run a certain production, or you need to be able like to fix your PC. At some point you will have to upgrade your PC. At some point. But yeah, when it comes to observing, so I started observing Overwatch 3 years ago, and slowly started branching out into other games like Valorant. I observe a lot of League of Legends now as well. When it comes to that, I notice, especially with myself, I need some sort of passion for the game. If I'm not really interested in the game, like, I will have a hard time observing this game, because yes, you can, if you take some time, you can learn about this game and so on, but you have a much easier time and you will enjoy it a lot more if this game you observe is actually like something that you play yourself, or at least like enjoy watch. Otherwise, you will, in the end, it will just be a hassle for you, and people will like tell, "Oh, you have like no clue how this game works. Do you even care about this or whatsoever?"
Yeah, I feel like both kind of what you said like link up very
when it
well,
comes
like,
to observing.
talking to your like
I agree with that.
your like colleagues and peers
I think
before the
Nick's
events,
just
being
dying
able to
currently
work with
trying
them.
to fix something.
Oh no. There we have it,
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen. There's no production without tech issues.
I'm here. So, like the two things like link up quite well, like working with your peers and your like fellow producers and observers beforehand, and being able to put out fires together, and knowing that you can like trust in each other to fix out whatever's going wrong, because there's always something going wrong. Even from experience of like knowing like even the highest level of production, things go wrong, and there's nothing else you can do just try and fix it on the go.
Yeah,
Alright.
exactly. I mean, there are situations where there's nothing else you can do. You just have to find a solution around it. Yeah.
Cool. Alright, we are gonna skip the break, guys. Move on to the next question. Alright. Next question is, what's your biggest achievement working in production and esports so far?
For me, it was, I think for every Overwatch observer producer at some point is, oh, I wanna like make it into contenders, which is the tier 2 level of Overwatch, like one level underneath of the Overwatch League. And I think it's always a dream of mine. Oh, I want to observe this. I want to work on content. Would be like so cool working on this like high tier production. And I would have never expected that eventually I will make it this way. I still say when people ask me about it that I didn't deserve it back then at all. I just got super lucky. But I felt, and I was so scared. I was at such a bad imposter syndrome when on the first day where I observed contenders, and I learned so much during the day. And I had a few Overwatch League observers like that reached out to me, and I reached out to them, like giving me help, and hearing from them, since you did such a great job. I mean, you totally deserve that. What you're saying made me so proud, and I think it's like to this day, I think one of my biggest achievements I would consider.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so good to have like that feedback from people you respect as well.
Yeah.
How about you, Grissom?
My biggest achievement was doing free cam observing for ELO Hell, and I had people very happy with my work, as you all can remember.
Oh.
Nah, I'm joking.
It was top tier free cam.
Wow.
Grissom, best free cam observer that I know. Putting it out there.
I'm trying to think because I didn't actually come prepared for this one. I would say pass.
Pass. That's a good achievement. I respect it. But it's all good.
Thank you.
We can move on to the next question. Similar question, but I think you have one. So Cynthia, what's your favorite production that you've worked on? Maybe not your biggest achievement, but like maybe the most fun you've had, or if a moment stood out for you, something's really funny has gone on.
That was actually not too long ago. So 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was a LAN in Köln, and I got super lucky that they reached out to me to observe this. I was able to meet like some old friends from productions prior I did to this, but also meeting like, new friends. I met my secondary observer, Seth, in case she's watching. I've never met her before that, even though she lives in Germany, close to Cologne. So I asked her because they were asking for like a pair of observers, like if I know someone. So yeah, I know this girl. I will ask her, and she was like super excited, like to be able to observe this with me. So yeah, so we met at this LAN, observed this LAN together, and this is it. I keep saying this all the time, but it's such a different atmosphere when you work in a physical studio, at least in any physical environment with multiple people around you, than in remote. And we had so much fun. You can even there was even a small crowd, and every time we caught a play on camera, you could hear the crowd screaming and oh yeah, wow! It was so bizarre and so exciting at the same time, which I would say was my favorite production so far.
That's cool.
Just LAN is a completely different experience.
Yeah, it's something hard working like working remote is that you don't get that like active feedback for like your observation work, especially being able to catch a cool play and having feedback from the crowd must be really, really satisfying.
It is a really satisfying feeling, yeah.
Grissom, how about you? Do you have a favorite?
Not gonna lie, I just had to pull up my portfolio to double check that one.
Love to hear it.
I'd say I really liked working CCSW, which was the Rainbow Six Women's League for CCS. And I like doing replays on that every week. That was enjoyable. I got to work with some good casters and stuff. And I liked working the CCL LAN. I worked from home because obviously it was in Canada and I'm in the UK. But I did enjoy seeing, well, the players at the LAN and playing with the cameras. But I'd say that was my favorite.
That's cool. That's cool. And Cynthia, what game was that LAN for?
Oh, it was actually a Valorant LAN. So basically,
Nice.
from what I understand, it's Riot's rules or like terms of conditions for getting a license for a Riot or Valorant tournament is a bit tricky. So what they did Take TV owns, they have their own Valorant team. And so it was basically just a bunch of show matches. It was just the fight night, which was, they invited I think 5 teams, for a bunch of show matches in the end.
That's cool. And Grissom, for an event like
And
that,
it was even on Twitch front page, I think, at some point, which was super daunting but exciting at the same time for all of us involved.
Nice, that's cool. I've never had anything on Twitch front page. That is nice.
I have.
Sorry, Grissom. How many people worked on that event with you in the CCS? Was there a lot of people like working at the same time?
In CCS?
Yeah, CCS.
There was a producer, a replay op, an observer, an admin, and then a host and 2 casters for every show.
Nice. Do you guys prefer working with like more people, like having multi-obs and working with lots of like people at once?
Don't make me cry. You can't get more than 1 observer. Siege is still yet to add the option to have more than 1 observer.
Oh no, that is sad.
Yes.
Come on, please fill that in. That's like a standard for games right now. But yeah, I know working on like multi-obs is a lot of fun. But rest in peace, Siege. Maybe one day.
Maybe.
All right. So Grissom, you mentioned earlier that you've had lots of long days, and it's better to have a good working relationship with people if you're working with them for a long time. But what's the longest day that you've ever had to work for? Or like, what's the longest time you've had to work during one day? And how does it feel afterwards?
I woke up one morning with only 1 gig planned at 8 o'clock. So I woke up at about 10 in the morning. I got a message off Trix who was like, hey, you wanna like come and run replays for me? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I ran replays on a Valorant thing from 11 till 4, which was front page of Twitch. I did not expect it to be that big, but it was. I then left at 4 because I had to observe Challenger League qualifiers for Siege because, you know, I got the option to and I didn't turn it down. And then I done that till about 7 o'clock and then went to my 8 o'clock gig, which lasted till about 1 in the morning. So I had a 14-hour day.
Rough. Was it fun though?
No, not at all.
I love doing those sort of days, but like afterwards you just feel the burn. Like I could feel like yeah, I can not produce in like for like a week after this. But then I wake up the next day and I'm like, I want something to do. How about you, Cynthia?
Yeah, I was thinking there were already sadly there were already multiple events that got me like to the edge. I think the most memorable was probably during the last year's season 1 or season 2 contenders playoffs. I don't know whose idea it was. We were even on the Overwatch League channel, so they did like a co-stream of the playoff phase. It was excluding the grand finals even. So we were in the Overwatch League YouTube as well. With the contenders playoffs, and we streamed I think all the quarterfinals, both semifinals for both regions. It was EU and NA. And we even, on top of that, we even had a 3 or 2 hours call time, which is normal for a studio production like this. In the end, we had the stream went on for 11 hours. And if you include the call time and also the post-production phase, turning everything off and so on, I think I left the studio 13 hours after, we were also tired, also considering we were producing this in Germany, and we started at 6 p.m. and left the building. It was already bright outside again at 7 a.m. the next day. On top of being on the Overwatch decline, even throughout during halftime, we were already all so tired, and I could tell I'm doing not a good job anymore in observing. I miss everything. We all just wanted to go home. We were all praying for just quick 2-3-0s, which didn't happen, and we were just so dead in the end.
Yeah, quick games never happen when you want them to.
That's true.
So for like, if you go into an event, do you guys like start with a game plan before you go in, thinking about what you want to do, or do you kind of like adapt for each one?
I mean, that depends a bit from event to event. I mean, if you're on the production side, there are of course like some like step by steps you need to do. So you want to check if you have all the graphics, if they work properly for you. Test your entire stream package in beforehand to see if everything runs smoothly. If your PC can handle it, that is also not always given. And then as soon as when it comes to call time, I mean, you talk with introduce yourself to the casters, tell them what the expectations is of this broadcast, and run them through the run of show quickly, and so on. But depending on the event, I at least like try to talk with the tournament organizers, like, okay, what is the scope of this event? Do I need to be aware of anything? Sometimes I would need to come up with a new solution for on the tech end. A good example would be I produced a while ago for RixGG the Huntress Trials, and they had something very unique which I haven't seen before. Which was a graphic that goes on top of the scoreboard when the observer like toggles up the scoreboard. So I had to implement this, and Univeth, a good friend of mine and co-worker here at EHE Esports, he helped me setting up an API end so that I could change the data like more easily on that. When it comes to observing, what I don't do it as much as I used to do last year, but when I observed, I used to rewatch some VODs of the teams that are playing. Sometimes I think that's what I did more often, since last year everyone can remember like how drastically the meta kept changing because of the hero bans that were thing during last year's contenders and Overwatch League. So I rewatched also a bunch of Overwatch League VODs to get a feeling. Okay, what's the current meta? Like, what is being played? And also engaged and talked with some tier 2 coaches. I was like lucky enough that I had some friends who were at that time coaching some contenders teams. So I shared some of my ideas and my knowledge. Like, hey, so I've seen this being played on the Overwatch League. Like, is this what the contenders teams are playing right now as well? And he gave me some tips on what to look for and what to expect of what would be being played, and this helped a lot.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, and I think it's important to be able to do both, plan and prepare for an event and adapt for each one. How do you do it, Grissom?
I do the basics, which is run through the stream package, check every scene. I'll check all my data links and just change some things to make sure they're linked. Talk to talent, like for a minute max, and just let them know how I run things. If they have any questions, I'll answer them. Talk to the prod team, let them know how I run things. If they have any questions, I'll answer them. And then I'll just finish setting things up, such as technical checks, sound checks, all that sort of stuff. webcam tests as well, and then if nothing really else I need to do, I'll just wait until I go live, and then we'll just get the show on the road. Really, I wouldn't say there's a game plan as such, but I usually grab food before every show, and just even if I don't eat it, I'll just grab food, just to mean I don't have to leave for some.
That's a good idea. I always like find if the show goes long, or if I end up being roped into like another broadcast, I will so often miss food for like 8 hours.
That's so true. I was about to say I'm also really bad when it comes to food. I mean, right now I'm still lucky enough that I still live with my dad, so there's always like food around. I mean, he will the most like cook dinner and so on, and when I have like any window, even if it was like some 2 minutes, I would just run downstairs the kitchen and get some food, which I need to get better at, like having an actual game plan when it comes to food during productions. I think I might be also spoiled when I was still working with Take TV during Contenders, because we just always ordered pizza or whatever during call time. So this is something I can definitely relate to.
Nice. Yeah, I have been often been bought food mid like production or like observation, and like whenever I have like 2 seconds of downtime, just like quickly eat as much as I can. It's funny. All right, I think we're coming on to the last sort of questions, guys. So next up, how can a regular person just get into observing or producing in esports? Cynthia, we'll start with you, since you probably, as community manager of EHE, you probably have a good answer.
In the end, there are a bunch of very helpful and supportive communities, which my EHE Esports for an instance, but also the broadcast GG Discord server. Like, you see, there are a bunch of open-minded people who like help you if you have any questions and so on. And you have these channels where you can see there are a bunch of organizations or like smaller, even teams who are looking for people who would stream like their scrims or any sort of tournaments. And they won't judge you if you have no prior experience at all. Because it's you can take this as a learning experience. Here we at EHE Esports, as an example, like we are right now recruiting new producers and observers, also casters, and I think mods as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that end.
That's right.
Which is open for like anyone, no matter if you have like prior experience in observing or producing. We will show you everything. We have a right now a observer coach who will do bot reviews with you and give you tips on how to improve your observing, and we will support you in any ways. Give you tips on what you should upgrade on your PC, what you need to what you should get at some point to improve your observing and your production. But yeah, it doesn't even have, like I said, it doesn't even have to be the EHE Esports. There are a bunch of smaller, bigger and smaller communities who are like always like willing and open to recruit and onboard people who are just interested in like trying themselves out.
Exactly. Anything from you, Grissom, on here on starting, observing, or producing in esports?
I'd say surround yourself with people who know what they're doing, and just like ask questions. But like, with OBS and vMix, for example, like there are set manuals and stuff which are like full of information. So if you have an issue, just read the manual. Like that, I'd say that's a great thing for starting like producing and stuff. And if it isn't in the manual, then like do not be afraid to ask about it, because that's what a lot of people just don't do. They don't ask questions. Like the broadcast GG Discord is a great place to do that. The amount of times I've went and asked questions and got the right answer is too many to count these days. But yeah, EHE is also a great place to start.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
but
know.
I think when it comes to the tools, sorry, when
No,
it
go
comes to
ahead.
the
Go ahead.
tools, we throw in some terms as well. I mean, if you're interested in any observing or producing, it would be just download OBS. I think it's called the Open Broadcast Studio, or some sort of. Just play around. Start streaming. I mean, if you probably already like are a gamer yourself. Don't be just start open a Twitch channel. You probably already have a Twitch account. Like start streaming, get familiar with the tool. There's already a big plus, and then you can like might take a look into vMix, which is more advanced, more for producers. Just play around. Reach out to people. I mean, if you have a hard time like finding someone who would like to give you a chance, like reach out to teams. There are a bunch of teams where it's how I started out. Like there are a bunch of teams who are looking for people to just like record like their scrim, to record their training session. And already this helps a lot, like to get a experience or the kind of feeling of how the tools work. And then you might eventually they will always like open up like one opportunity where you can then advance and like learn from other people, or as I mentioned, like the broadcast CG server is such a good tool by itself. It is a bunch of open-minded people who always like help you out and give you answers to any questions you might have.
Yeah, I've had like plenty of feedback from broadcast.gg, this Discord server, and plenty of like paid and unpaid job opportunities as well from there. And it's just a really good place in general to find stuff and to get into this sort of scene in general. But feel free to apply at the ELO link, and if anyone's watching who has any interest, go ahead and like put your name forward, and we can have a discussion. So guys, we're moving on to the final bit of the interview here, the AMA, the behind the scenes. So we're gonna do some quick fire questions. I haven't got too many. I got 4 for you. Are you guys ready?
Oh yeah, sure. Always.
All right. What do you think are the 3 most useful bits of software or apps that you guys use?
Bit focus companion.
And what does that do?
Oh, you ruined it, Grism. You ruined it.
Well, oh, oops. Well, I mean, no, I wouldn't say voice meter. I'd say bit focus companion.
Oh wow.
Because when you're a vMix up, voice meter just isn't needed. Yeah, I'd say vMix, OBS, and bit focus companion.
Nice. Yeah, I use voice meter, but I have issues with it constantly. How about you, Cynthia?
I mean, to be fair, like the most a few of my friends, they hate voice meter by its guts. I know some of them are watching. And they can't understand how I get this to work, or how I dare to use voice meter. It is a very powerful tool for what it can do. It's just Windows has some limitations, especially when it comes to audio. And no, I'm losing the thread. I'm getting
Yeah, we
ping
can.
DM now. I'm getting DM now. but yeah, it is a powerful tool, but it has its flaws. It's, for some people it works, for some people it doesn't. For my needs, it works like flawlessly, and especially if you if you start with producing in OBS, you will quickly see that you will run into some limitations or some problems where you need to use third-party software like voice meter, which at that point maybe you should consider like getting vmix. The downside of vmix is, in comparison to voice meter and obs, it costs a bit, and for some people they can't really afford it or don't want to afford it, which is fair enough because it's quite a large amount of money. So OBS and just Voice Meter is a good alternative. Maybe to explain it for some people, like Voice Meter is kind of like a virtual mixer on Windows. So everyone probably has seen like these wired mixers with like a bunch of different faders and knobs and buttons you can press, and that's basically what Voice Meter is, just like a virtual mixer in that sense, because OBS is a bit limited when it comes to especially like separate audio sources. So that's like a good alternative.
Nice. Cool. All right. Move on to the next question, guys. Um, what is your favorite food? If it's your favorite food before a broadcast, if it's your favorite comfort food, um, anything you guys want. I got some
Oh,
currywurst on the screen for you,
my
Cynthia.
favorite production food is it's probably just pizza, because it's so easy like to eat with like one hand. You can just like grab one slice with like one hand and eat it. We had a bunch of different production food during my time like last year with Take TV. We had burgers, we had burger sushi, and I think Chinese and whatsoever. But pizza is like the easiest. I don't know, what's your take on that, Grism?
Spicy chicken noodles because I have them in a bowl. They take 3 minutes to make, so I can make them during breaks. I can add any sauce to it, whether that be chili, something, you know, something like Chinese, just any sauce I desire, I can add to it, and it is absolutely beautiful. I don't like any of that like sausage and mash stuff that I'm seeing right now. That's appalling.
Yeah, I thought I'd choose some like traditional English and German food. All right, guys. What's your favorite music? If you have a favorite genre or a favorite band, favorite song, Cynthia.
Oh, that's a good question. It keeps changing. I'm open for like literally everything. I'm not even kidding. Um, Sometimes I like to listen to classics. Sometimes I just listen to like regular pop. I'm still in a K-pop phase a bit. I listen to a bunch of J-pop. I a bunch a lot of things. There's like no favorite I would pick, or I could choose. It keeps changing all the time, to say the least.
Nice, nice. How about you, Grissom? Anything in particular?
Uh, I like some 20th century pop. Uh, I like some oldies and goldies,
Nice.
uh, Queen and stuff, but uh, just some classic like Busted, McFly, that sort of stuff.
Nice. I listened to a good cover of ABBA, The Winner Takes It All, yesterday. It was nice. It was actually a surprisingly deep song. I know we watched Eurovision a while back, Cynthia. It was fun.
Oh
That was
yeah,
fun. I like that.
yeah.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
that's
Grissom
like
was
a
there.
one.
That was fun.
Yeah, he was also there. It's maybe like some kind of
Yeah, yeah.
sneak peek into to the EHE esports community. So we have regular watch parties in our so-called staff core. It's just basically where all the EHE staff like is assembled. So we spontaneously had the idea
Avengers.
to start a watch party for the Eurovision Song Contest. I mean, it was fun, but we all had fun.
Hey, can we watch
Yeah.
Avengers tomorrow? Can we
I
watch
mean,
a
I
new
would.
Spider-Man together?
And the
Oh,
EHE ESC was winner was actually Iceland.
I
No
agree.
one can
I mean,
can compete. That's the
without a doubt.
EHE
Without a doubt.
ESC winner.
All right, guys. Final one. Unless I add a new one real quick. What's your favorite pizza topping? I got a slice right next to me.
Oh,
I would say.
so I mean, go ahead, yeah.
No, no, no. You go first. I want to hear
Okay,
it.
so I like mozzarella and like some fresh tomatoes and some basil. That's like the best. And when I don't feel like this, I just go with like regular ham. Just ham with whatever cheese they put on top of it. It's like this is the go-to if I have like no clue. Like what can you offer? They normally always have like a pizza with ham on top.
I would
Nice.
go for.
I did try pineapple on pizza. It's not as bad, but it's like not my favorite.
Okay.
But I wouldn't mind it if someone offers me a pineapple pizza.
Please don't say pineapple pizza, Grism.
Okay. I hope pineapple pizza's done now. I had to disconnect from the caller.
Thank you.
I'd say one of two combinations. The first option is just now. It depends on where the pizza's from because I don't have any nice like pizzerias in my area. So looking at that, like that looks amazing. But if I was to get that from my local shop, it'd just be like hard cheese just put on something like entirely random, like which you wouldn't even call a pizza base. But I'd normally actually get pizza without cheese just for that reason, because of my local pizza shop is horrific. And I'd either get plain chicken, and that's it. But if I get from a really nice pizzeria, like for example a restaurant, I normally get pepperoni, chili flakes, basil, spicy chicken, sometimes some sausage, but that's it.
Nice. I think there's some good choices. Good choices.
No pineapple, no tuna, no sweet corn. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm a vegetarian, but if any of those things go near, if like sweet corn goes near my pizza, I'm just like, no, I'm good.
You're a vegetarian?
Yeah, I'm a vegetarian.
Oh.
It's a tough life because I love meat, but olives and jalapenos for me, guys. The way to my heart.
I hate veg. Like I'm the type of person who would order by mistake. I once ordered a spicy chicken pizza from the shop. I got it from a different pizzeria, and I got it with cheese just to try it out. It came. It was literally drowned in like peppers and onions and olives and stuff. I spent literally like 10 minutes before with two skewers just picking out the individual vegetables off that pizza before I could even investigate it to see if it was edible.
I'd love to hear it.
Interesting.
I think that's a hot take, but you do you. You do you, sir.
It works.
Yeah, I understand it. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us a bit of background on who you guys are and what you do. Much appreciated. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for also having me. It was very fun.
Huh, no worries. Alright, chat. See you next time. Guys, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
Good night.